Hey YouTube, FoxyHippo here with a chill 1500s RBG in Eye of the Storm. It has been ages since I've uploaded a video, but I happened to play a few casual RBGs this weekend and I felt like making videos, so here it is. Full disclosure up front, during the match I personally feel like I've got two pretty clutch moments, separated by a really embarrassing derpy moment. That said, I think it went well. This was a pretty solid team I got to run with. The only one I knew through networking up front is the Rep Pally, Addon. He's a co-host on the Technically PvP podcast. If you're into podcasting, I'll drop you a link in the description below so you can give him some love. I've been largely AFK from WoW and YouTube for several months for reasons. I'm really rusty and I know it would take a lot of time I probably don't have just to brush up again, so we'll see where this goes. From the beginning, we're doing a standard opening with two base hitters and a team fight in middle. We do have a Vengeance Demon Hunter, but he's sitting a base. Once in a while I meet a strat caller that thinks that a tank in the mid team fight with a spin flag is a pretty good idea. I don't know that I agree with that idea personally myself though. I think that if you've got a good group of healers and ranged DPS that look up from their buttons once in a while, then you shouldn't have a problem spinning so long as the teamfight isn't a huge failure. If it is a huge failure, then having a tank spinning just seems to be delaying the inevitable. So I think it's better just to do like we're doing right now and keeping the tank at a base. Oftentimes another DPS is the difference between a failure and a success in a teamfight. Having a DH tank in this case is useful since they're so dang mobile that when we do eventually pick up the flag, he can call out for a backup base hitter and run to mid and pick it up from our squishy flag carrier, or whoever managed to ninja it in the first place. That said, that when there's no flag to be held, he knows that his main priority is holding that base and he's not wandering anywhere. Despite having lost one healer already, this team fight initially is actually going pretty well. We managed to push them up quite a distance beyond the flag, and a lot of times players forget in this BG that placement of the team fight can be strategically as important as getting the kills in the first place. In this case, their team is so far back that I managed to run up and ninja cap before they're able to come back and spin a little bit. Notice where I'm standing. The fact that the flag is blowing to the right allows me some extra area to click on there, thus making it so that I'm able to stand off to the side quite a distance, and it's not so obvious that I'm capping. Had I gone and stood on the stick of the flag, it would be pretty obvious. Ranged DPS that's paying attention, even from that distance, would have been able to spin me. I mentioned that I have an embarrassing moment in this RBG. This is it. At the beginning, I told you that we had a Demon Hunter, Vengeance Demon Hunter sitting a base, but you'll notice if you look at my reporter map off to the side that we now have a Druid covering his base. He's called out for backup, and he's come to mid to pick up the flag. He's calling for me to drop it, and you see me frantically trying to click that stupid icon up there. And because I've got so many HOTS and things changing where it is, I have a bit of a struggle trying to find it and then click on it. And by the time I do, their Feral Druid manages to pick it up. We do eventually get the kill on the Feral Druid and recover the flag, but not a good feel around that time. So sticking with the positive, let's talk more about capping flags off to the side. As a side note, I'll say that in order to pull this off in a lot of BGs, you gotta let your healers know that this is a possibility and that you might give it a try. A lot of healers, especially forward healers, like to position themselves up on that side, and if they're up there, then some melee who wasn't even intending to spin the flag will be cleaving you while you're trying to stand there and get a nice ninja cap. It doesn't look as epic of a cap here in this fight, but I have managed to, in much heavier team fights, just stand off to the side here, looking like I'm just doing my DPS and CC and whatnot, and if I'm not the target, which often being a lock I can be, but if nobody notices, I'm able to get a nice cap here, even during a stalemate team fight that's not going anybody's way. Once the general team fight has passed my way and I'm kind of left in the back, I see an opportunity where if I wanted to, I could probably peel away. I'd have to resummon my pet and wait for a few seconds to get out of combat. And I'm checking on that far base where I know the rogue is sitting. And I click on BG targets just to check where he's at. He's in stealth. I'm not able to see him, so I'm going to assume that he's at that base. At this time, I mentioned that to the strat caller, and he says, no, we need you in the team fight. So I stick with the team fight, but I'm always looking for those opportunities because in this case, I happen to be spec'd as a single target lock. I started this night out as a general dots, cancer for everybody sort of spec, just to do high damage numbers and spread damage. But in earlier team fights in earlier games, this is I think the 4th game of the night with this group, I found that we managed to just kill stuff way too quick. And this is lower CR, so not a lot of healers are actually dispelling correctly. So I eventually switched to a single target spec because it also allows me the opportunity, if I see it, to go and have a nice 1v1 with somebody who doesn't expect a lock to wreck them. And you'll see towards the end of this game, I actually do get that opportunity against the rogue. And I do end up winning mainly because of that spec and being able to dot him up and then just suck down enough life to be able to outlast him. At this point, we've lost a base, and I don't know how, I don't know why. There was no ink call, no explanation. But in this case, we don't fret, we don't freak out, that's key. And our strat caller basically tells everyone, yes, we need to get a base eventually, but for now, we're going to focus on the cart game. So you see us pushing mid, he calls that out, and because we've got people in mid and they don't have anyone there, I'm pushing up forward on purpose just to draw the attention of this DK and this priest, just to keep them out of mid and buy my guys some time to nuke down the players that did get in there. So you see that resto druid, he just died. I'm up there just long enough to pop my cooldown defensives, and then I gotta get my butt back to mid to find myself a healer. In this case, it works out pretty well, and we get the initial couple of kills, which gives us the advantage in the team fight. All of our guys are alive, and they're already down a healer, which sets us up nicely, at least for picking up this flag. We still have a few people pressuring that third base that we lost, and eventually we do get another base back, but for the most part, throughout the mid part of this game, we're just running flags, and that is a viable solution. There's a lot of people that don't believe that you can win just off of flags, but in this case, we do manage to pull ahead after about 2 or 3 flags, even though we've only got 1 base to their 3. We've just picked up another flag here, and you'll see that a lot of us stay in mid. You can tell from my reporter add-on that our flag carrier is not being attacked, he's not in conflict there, he's able to get a quick cap, and we managed to hold mid. Their DPS continues to push in by themselves without a healer, which hinders them. This is a huge mistake for them because we managed to keep them on a partial res constantly, because these damage dealers keep running in, probably just panicking about us having the flag and also owning mid, and they're not realizing where the rest of their team is. It's paramount that you know where your team is and what's your positioning. Here I'm going to get a Ring of Peace to help me peel from this warrior. Just walking across that gives me a little bit of time to just continue instacast dotting him. They've got no healer again still. This warrior keeps pushing in without a healer against several of us. So we got 2 healers and 2 DPS here in mid that are able to knock him out before he gets any backup. Again, in the long run, this is just hurting them because they can't regroup properly. They can't ever come back with a full team. This whole time that we've been farming DPS, we continue to run the flag caps. We only still have 1 base, but you'll see that the scoreboard is still pretty close. We're going to pick up the flag one more time and run it. They've stopped coming in. They've started pushing on our single base a little bit more, and I finally see that opportunity that I've been waiting for to go have my 1v1 exclusive with this rogue. I peel from mid and I run behind these rocks. A lot of times, it seems simple, it seems silly, but it helps. Just that line of vision. A lot of people don't play with proper bars that are visible above players, and so I get a lot of times a nice little sneak up on people. This rogue, I don't know when he's able to call the ink, but it doesn't get there in time. He might be thinking, oh, it's just a warlock, and I can take him 1v1, but he doesn't know how I'm spec'd in this case. I managed to use my cooldowns defensively. I'm waiting for that Cloak of Shadows to go away, because that is the bane of my life when killing rogues. But then again, they don't have much against me after that. After that, it's CC, CC, CC. I'm really close to death here, but if I can dot him up just minimally and then just start that life train, once he's already popped most of his openers, and I still have my trinket to get out of anything that he pulls out eventually, I managed to get him back up, and I'm still finishing the fight with about a quarter health. One thing I gotta remember to do is loot the body. I don't want him to body res there. Being a base sitter, that's just base sitting 101, but getting the body allows me enough time to come over here and cap the flag. To be honest, I wasn't sure about that fight going up front, because he did have a nice opener on me, and but then once I did manage to get the fight, I call that out in voice chat, and the strat caller, seeing the base cap that he's been wanting the whole game long while he's running the flag cap game, comes to reinforce. I do need to run to him a little bit up front just to get some initial heals. The whole time I am facing the flag to try and make sure that I can spin it, because right now my goal is not to kill anything. There's two healers and a mage here versus me. I'm half dead. I've popped all of my cooldowns, and I've got one healer helping me to spin. Watching the map, you can see a few other people have managed on my team have managed to get the other base by the way. Eventually we get almost a 4 cap. We don't quite manage to hold this long enough for all 4 to turn over, but we do hold it, this particular base, for long enough for it to turn over. And often that's strategically all you need is to be able to turn it over. If you can turn it over, then even if they cap it, they're not getting points until they turn it back over, and so you get kind of the biggest bang for your buck right there, assuming that you're not going to be able to hold it definitively. Eventually the rogue does come back from the graveyard. We've now got the rogue and the mage to deal with. It's a little bit too much for me and my healer to handle, and so they do get the healer down, and they do get me down. They've also got a feral druid in there that's wailing on me. I do manage to spin using a few cooldowns for a little bit longer, but as soon as that's down, I'm out of there. In this case, the rogue takes it quite personally and decides to sit me until I'm dead, but this base has served its purpose. It's allowed us to continue to run flags. That's one thing I should point out, is this whole time we're still running that cap train through mid, but we've also managed to cap a second base. From the graveyard, I get a moment to check out the map again, still using my reporter add-on off to the right here. I'm able to see, without having to cover my entire screen with a map, that we still have control of mid for the most part. We've managed to regain our initial 2 bases. We've got some conflict over at Blood Elf Tower, which we still managed to hold for a little bit longer. We've got people dying and running to their bodies, but they do eventually get that, and our guys that were fighting there immediately come back to mid, because again, it is a flag capping game once again. We've got our 2 bases, and it's back to the normal rhythm that we started out with. I run to mid, not sure if I'm needed there. Eventually, there is an ink call here at Draenor Ruins, and I am already mounted up and halfway there, so I'm the one to peel. I get there just in time. Our base sitter dies just as I get there, and I do whatever I can to keep them off me. I spawn my infernal pet just to have something else to spin the flag with. I've got a couple of cooldowns defensively to burn, and it gives us enough time not only for the base sitter druid to res again, but also for a demon hunter tank to come and peel and help us there a little bit as well. From this point forward, we're feeling pretty confident about the game. We've got our 2 bases, we have control of the flag, and we're spinning. We've got healers on either side, and it's just a matter of time. To wrap this up, thanks for joining me. I hope you got something out of this RBG. It's a lower MMR, but I think there's still a lot of lessons to be taken away here. In general, smart players that understand a cap-trained strategy, coupled with good strat calling, good team fighting, and opportunistic duelists, can save the day. Not saying my team was perfect, I certainly had my derpy moments at the beginning as well, but we otherwise did really well, I feel. If you liked this video, give it a big thumbs up, leave a comment, subscribe. I do these just for fun, nothing is monetized, and I don't even bother to try and monetize them. It's just to help the WoW community where I can. Till next time, I'm the FoxyHippo.
You can set the lock, but like the lock's also doing 1 million damage, so like...
Foxy's intelligent. I'm watching Foxy. He's responsive. He pays attention to shit, so I want to keep him near a team fight.